Interesting. Anything else?
Well, she was a researcher at the Universitas Magistrorum.
Oh, and one more thing. For some reason, Rerear's fragment also contains some of Thelindis' memory.
Well, no shortage of potential leads, I'll give you that. Thelindis, it seems, must have been the one thing in this world that he couldn't let go.
Why do you need to know that? Hold on. If she was a pure blood oh yeah! Just like how it was with the cat.
If we could somehow find her.
It's possible, but it would take a miracle. That merchant who never knows, Dori Sangama Bay.
Alright then. Let's keep working on Traveler, Paimon, Kutar, and Miss Arlecchino. We'll go look for the... As for the others...
On the way over here, I noticed that the Wild Hunt monsters had grown even... At this rate, the people living here will be in grave danger too. So I'm thinking of gathering...
I'll head back to the Curatorium and meet up with the boss.
Feels good knowing we've all got something to be getting. Given that the Wild Hunt has been a lot more active lately, the Lightkeepers have likely begun their own operations too. If that is the case, I'll hold the fort for now. Then discuss our next move with Flints, Aino, and Anefa when they get back.
Alright then.
Well, the clock's ticking. If that's everything, we'll be on a...
We'd better get moving too. We'll try to buy you as much time as we can.
Relax. Just stay safe, everyone. Dismiss.
We're back. Did we get here a little...
A tad late. The others have already set off. To summarize, our everything going smoothly on your...
Not great. I don't know how long we can stall them for. The decoy... I'm gonna make some more later, but I need a timeout first. I'm so tired right... Oh, right! Inefa, could you fill in Uncle Varka?
Sure. Uncle Varka, you previously told us about how when you went to investigate a source of the Wild Hunt, but according to Flint's intel, several outbreaks of the Wild Hunt had... That was before Rerear had regained his body, when he was far from regaining his full strength.
Flint's, with everything that's been happening, the Lightkeepers across Nodcry are... I know, I'm sure you're capable of coming up with something far more effective than decoys. And Efa and I will head back over to Amsfartnir to see if there's anything I missed.
I told you Uncle Varka would say that, didn't I? A deal's a deal. Not a word about my snack intake for the next week.
Database updated. Reliability of Aino's predictions increased.
They were betting on how you'd respond after hearing...
It's the obvious choice, isn't it? That's hardly worth...
We already decided that Anefa should go investigate the situation over at Amsfartnir on her own. Someone needs to hang back and oversee our strategy meetings. And besides, you still haven't fully recovered.
So I've ended up with the easiest assignment.
Here, this will serve as a good spot to cross over.
Arlecchino, hold up a second. Since you brought us all this way, would you mind We still haven't got the slightest idea what's going on here.
Simple. Because I am an inheritor of the royal bloodline of the Crimson Moon.
Huh? Are you serious? Isn't you're a descendant of that Crimson Moon dynasty we were just talking?
Your surprise is understandable. I was also taken aback when I first learned of it. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized. When I was young, I discovered I could wield a very special kind of fire. It coursed like blood through my veins. What's more, whenever I experienced... Exactly. That is why my hands are like this, too. At first, I saw it only as a curse. But once I became a harbinger, together with my own investigations over the past few years... For instance, take the so-called Crimson Moon. In truth, it is nothing more than the shattered remnant. Since this blood flame was bestowed upon me by the you all understand the nature of the Abyss well enough. I draw upon its power, and in return, it hungers for my soul.
If I recall correctly, you once told me that if the corruption ever made it to your heart, you'd be—
Yes. And that's the reason I'm always careful not to push my power too far. It's a...
Oh, sounds...
Anyway, the rest of my...
Paimon has a question! So, the crimson moon that the Karians used to worship was actually the iridescent moon, right? Does that mean that the Karians were to the crimson moon as the frost moon?
So much of that history has been lost. We have no way of knowing exactly what they were like. But I would suspect that later on, perhaps someone discovered a way to make direct... Still, even with the dark sun looming high overhead...
The first time we met, I sensed something familiar in your... When I looked at you, I felt I could see that mysterious red moon in the corner of my eye.
Well, I appreciate that you kept it to yourself. Much about the Crimson Moon is still a mystery, and I'd prefer not to end up as the object of an insane... Anyway, time is against us here, so if there's any other question, I just want to make sure I've got one thing straight. In her letter, Sandrone mentioned that since you are unable to contain the iridescent moon's marrow, you're...
That's right. For now, the iridescent moon is already part of who you are. So with its marrow in your possession...
Deal. Then let's get started.
Get what started?
When I first became a Harbinger, the Jester gave me a book called Parenhair. You should be able to buy a copy next time you're in Fontaine. It's a love story set in the Crimson Moon era.
Beyond the bounds of this world? For real?
The Crimson Moon sages looked beyond this. They made these children crawl up a fireplace and kept asking them, "Have you died? Did you see it?" Until they finally admitted. The adults embraced the children who passed the ritual. The book leaves much unsaid.
That explains why I can't sense the Crimson Moon's marrow in this world. It makes sense that it would be sealed in a special space that could...
But there's no fireplace here! Do you see a chimney anywhere?
That won't be necessary. The fireplace is purely symbolic. The key to the ritual is crossing the flames between two worlds. Those burned away by such flames leave behind a kind of... In short, I can open a passage to that space for you. The catch is I'll need to stay on this side. Very well. Then I'll open it.
Traveler, spare me a little more moonlight if you would. Thank you. I feel like I've recovered some of my strength now. It should be enough to move us across short distances.
Mistress of the seven hues of ages past, great mother of the present, crimson-clad sovereign of the two realms, by fire severed, by fire renewed, I offer myself now and beseech your descent. One word of advice. As you're crossing over, no matter what voices you hear...
Got it!
I sense a sinister gloom inside. But also, I feel that I am about to meet an old friend. and bring me death and rebirth. Wait, why are you? You've crossed over from another world, transcending fate itself. I have no right to. Hey! Look up at the sky! A red moon! This must be the spot, right? Is that the abyss? What a tragic sight. Fragments of your broken body. Careful! There's something spooky about this place. Paimon's right behind you! By the way, Columbina, didn't you tell us that the iridescent moon had shattered into pieces? The moon up there looks pretty whole to Paimon. How is that possible?
The wind knows me. Be silent. Night falls. Close your eyes. Fear the dark.
I'll protect us. Just like I thought. It was only a facade.
Time to go. One with nature. Fallen leaves. Adorn my... Observe. Close your eyes. Night falls. Be silent. To dust. Clouds high. The birds...
Let's dance.
Close your eyes. Night falls. To dust. Mind the side effects. Fallen leaves. Adorn my night. Be silent. Observe. Are you quite finished?
Let the show begin. Huh? Huh? For real? That's way too high! No. I'm not sensing anything up there. It's coming from under the mountain. Let's see. Ah! There's some kind of weird shit. Wait, see that? Looks like a mechanism of some sort.